So I will just share screen and let me know when you can see it.
Yep, we're good. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much. So, hi everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Richard Owen. I'm Chair of Northstowe Town Council and Town Mayor, and I'll be taking you through some very high-level overview of some of the things that we've done over the past few months since we took office back in May, and some of the things which are going to be coming up, and some of the areas that Northstowe Town Council is going to be involved in over the next several years as Northstowe builds out towards town centre and beyond. And then I'll hand over to Mark Knockert, our town clerk, who will talk a little bit about ways that you can get in touch with us, ways that you can see how the council works, and the elections process coming up. So first of all, who are we? We represent Northstowe and Rampton Drift as the first tier of local government, the tier of government closest to residents and covering the most kind of local area. So we had elections back in May last year for a one-year term, and 15 councillors were elected from 20 candidates. We have one full-time employee, who's Mark, who we're talking in a few minutes' time, and as well as our full council meetings that we have on the fourth Wednesday of every month, we also have several committees which deal with different areas of expertise and areas that we are involved in. So we do a lot of work in consultations on planning applications and making sure that we can get comments back on those. We're responsible for all the finance and governance of Northstowe Town Council, so the part of the precept from council tax which goes towards that, and making sure that we're good stewards of that money and that we get the most for it. Events and Markets Committee, so sorting out events that Northstowe Town Council is involved in helping to promote and run, and assets and asset transfer, which it started out without that many responsibilities, but which will become a lot more important as time goes on. So far, well, as I said, our first responsibility is to represent the interests of our residents across Northstowe and Rampton Drift, and because there's a lot of planning which goes on, there's a lot of development which is currently ongoing as Northstowe is building out. Some of the key areas that we've been involved with are making sure that we can represent your interests in the planning process and make improvements to plans which are going through. So I've highlighted a few examples of how this has manifested over the last few months. So there's going to be a sports pavilion which is going to be built near to the allotment land over the next year or so, and those plans went through over the last few months. We made some significant improvements to those plans, which will make it a much better facility and a much better building overall in the long run. A lot of you will have noticed that one of the developers was doing unauthorized piling, and across many different areas of the councils, and across residents interventions as well, we held them to account over that, and they've actually decided to change to a different form of piling, which is much less intrusive to be able to do the work that they need to do. And we've been doing things like consulting on helping push through the fixes which we made to help drainage of allotment land, to help things like relocating the table tennis table to a much better location for the community overall. And just yesterday we went through and made comments on the full applications to Northstowe phase 3A and 3B, effectively the second half of the town, to try and ensure that conditions are put on that application when they proceed, to ensure that it's developed in the right way for the development of the town and in the interests of everybody here. So in addition to that, we're representing Northstowe residents across many different areas. We sit on the phase 1 open space group, so we've got representatives from Greenbelt, South Cambs, L&Q here today, and we're helping to ensure that maintenance which is happening on the open space land is done in a sensible way, in a way which is in our interests. We're members of the Northstowe Support Partnership to help more vulnerable residents in our community, and the Youth Partnership to try and push forward activities and events for young people in Northstowe. We've been involved in hydrology issues. So as many of you will know, one of the key areas that there's been of concern over the last few years has been Kingfisher Pond and other water areas across Northstowe and Long Stanton. We formed hydrology working groups to examine the data, and along with those residents who have been active for such a long time on this, helped raise those issues to the appropriate authorities, the MP, and going through to the Environment Agency to try and get to a resolution on this. And then working with lots of other groups across councils, across Homes England, had meetings with Cambridgeshire FA on how to help the formation of a potential new Northstowe football team, and lots of those kind of areas to try and impact Northstowe residents' lives for the better. In addition to that, there have been events going on throughout the later part of the year. So we were a partner for the Northstowe Running Festival, which is a fantastic success back in September. We played our part in the Remembrance Sunday events and helped alongside Northstowe Arts with coordination of events across the Christmas and New Year period. Now, with all of this going on, we needed a very competent and proficient town clerk to act as our proper officer and responsible financial officer to help marshal the finances of the council. And we were very lucky to find Mark Knockert. So he's been in post for 5 months and he's absolutely hit the ground running. And it's an extremely exciting post because it's a job which is going to be increasing exponentially over the course of the next few years. And as Northstowe grows, the responsibilities of the town council will grow with it, and we'll need to employ eventually more staff to handle building and asset management as we start taking those, having the option to start taking those on. Management of sports facilities, management of more extensive event planning and market planning when we have our own market, which should be coming later this year, and eventually taking on more open space maintenance across Northstowe. So I think St Ives has in the region of 10 to 15 staff members. At the moment we have 1, but that's going to be growing over the next few years. And then moving on to what's next. So the next few years are going to be exceptionally important for Northstowe as the town centre starts to be built, as our first retail land next to the green comes along, and as the community facilities such as the sports pavilion, the phase 1 community centre and the civic hub in the town centre are developed. So we'll have important decisions to make around, does the town council take on ownership and administration of those facilities? Do we and how do we manage those going forward? And of course, in addition to that, the first Northstowe markets, which should be coming later on this year, and ensuring that there are sufficient activities and support for residents across the whole parish, across all of Northstowe and Rampton Drift is going to be absolutely critical. And with that, I'll pass across to Mark to talk a little bit about what's coming up next and elections.
Thank you very much, Richard. Hello, everyone. As a Northstowe resident, I'm absolutely delighted to be the clerk for the Northstowe town as well. And as the mayor already said, there is so much going on already in the town, as you all know. And the town council is involved in a lot of those things one way or another, and will also put its own mark on things going forward. And you can be part of that. And I think this is just the key bit I want to point out. You can be there to represent your community and really make a difference, be that community hero that we need. As Richard started out at the beginning, we had 20 people standing for elections in May 2021. We will have elections again at the start of May 2022. This time it will be for a 4-year period. So we will put it in the schedule of all the parish and town council elections in South Cambridgeshire in the same scheme of things. The elections will start soon. The pre-election period will start on the 28th of March. And if you would like to come forward to nominate yourself as a potential councillor for the town council, that needs to be done. Nomination needs to be sent in before the 5th of April. So you've got a bit of time, but yeah, if you are thinking about this, or tonight you're thinking about this could be me. by all means contact us. There are a couple of key criteria. You have to be 18 years or over. You have to be a British citizen or citizen from the Commonwealth or the European Union. And you have to either live in the parish or within 3 miles from the parish boundary, or work within the parish, for instance. And there's a couple more minor criteria. So effectively it would cover probably most people in that sense, which is great. And we really want a good cross-section of the community to be part of the town council, as we currently also have. We're really hoping that there will be a proper election again, where there will be more candidates than the 15 councillors that the council has. So this is really, as I started out saying, this is your chance to make a difference in the community and help Northstowe develop over the next few critical years. Next slide, please, Richard. Thank you. So how can you, if you're thinking about it, how can you find out a bit more what it entails to be a councillor? Now we do have all these meetings that Richard already mentioned, and we've got one coming up next week, Wednesday, the next full council meeting, which will be at the secondary college. There will be a bit of space for people to sit at the back as well and observe, and there's an opportunity to perhaps afterwards also talk to councillors or talk to any of the councillors when you see them on the street. And also, by all means, talk to me in any sense through contact me through Facebook, Twitter, our website, or directly. And I think there are what we are aiming to do is get a campaign going for people to understand what it means to become a councillor, what the process is you have to go through to nominate yourself for the elections. And we will also probably put on some taste sessions for people who have shown interest, and have a sort of informal discussions, and where you can raise some questions to councillors and myself as well. So with that, on the last slide, please, Richard. So here are all the contact details. If you want to contact me, by all means, go to the Northstowe Town Council website, Facebook, Twitter, and contact me directly. We will also, when you become a councillor, there will be a range of training opportunities available as well, to really understand how you can make the best of being a councillor and how you can help the community in the process. That's all from me, and I'll happily take any questions in the question and answer as well. Thank you.
Thanks both. So I'm not sure which of the two of you want to take this question, but we've had one from the Q&A on, can we ensure the 5-year anniversary gets marked in May? So I assume it's a 5-year anniversary of the first resident of Northstowe, maybe with a suggested Northstowe Day.
I can take that. Yes, this has come up at a recent meeting for the town council as well, and where very initial discussion was held. You know, what kind of involvement could the town council have? And at this stage, I'm very, very keen to hear from residents, from individuals, community groups, businesses who think, well, actually, I'm quite happy to be part of that, helping to organize. And if there's sufficient interest, I can bring it back to an upcoming town council meeting for perhaps a decision what could be done on the day. I think it's a very, very great opportunity to put Northstowe on the map. Absolutely. So I think it's a great idea. Was brought to us a couple of months back as an initial idea already. Thank you.